Courtney West. I am a full spectrum doula, doula education, and doula mentor. I do all of this stuff. And welcome to According to Courtney. If you haven't been here before, welcome. So happy to have you. On here, we go over everything from filling your cup with mental wellness, Black maternal health things, and everything in between. This morning, I'm super excited to talk about a topic that I feel like enough people don't know about. I live in Florida, and so we have a very interesting a high Hispanic population. And a lot of things that are happening here, people aren't aware of when it's coming to our Hispanic population. In my field, we do not have a lot of lactation consultants, and that's people to help you with lactation and breastfeeding that are Hispanic. So today, I'm really happy to have such a wonderful guest, and not who's a Hispanic lactation consultant, but also has a very interesting story that she's here to share with us. So let's welcome Susan into the room.
Hi guys, my name is Susan. I'm a CLC lactation consultant. First of all, I want to say thank you so much, Courtney, for having me here. It's really an honor and a pleasure to join you on your channel. So thank you so much.
You're
I
so
appreciate
welcome.
it.
I'm so happy to have you here and to hold space with us. So to have you come in here is just such a gift. And I would love to start off with everyone, all my guests. I was asking the same 3 questions. 1, what is your name, the origin of your name? 2, where are you from and your people are from? And 3, what information you would like to leave in the space today?
All right, so starting out with the first one, my name is Susan, and the origin, my origin or my origin of my name? Which one do you want?
So we're going to do both. It's a 2-part
All
question.
right.
So the origin of your name.
Okay, so this is a funny story. My origin of my name should be from here, from the United States. My parents, I'm born in Colombia. I was born in Colombia. And so my parents also were from Colombia or are from Colombia. And when I was born, my parents had a dream that one day they were going to come to the United States and be here. And so they wanted to give me an American name. And so Susan it was.
Oh, wow. That's really powerful.
Yeah, it's their dream, and we're here, so it came true.
I love it. And so you touched a little bit on your origin. So you're from Colombia?
I'm from Colombia. I'm from Bogota. I was born and raised until I was 8.5 years old. So.
And that's when you came to the United States?
Yes, I did. And when I came here, I didn't know any English, like not even what the word hi was, nothing at all. So it was a transition, especially going to the school system and not know the language or anything and try to fit in. Mm-hmm. So that was difficult. But yeah, I was right here when I was very young.
Oh my goodness, it's so crazy. So what information would you love to leave in the space for people to remember about you and your story?
I would like for people to know that I am also like you. I am Hispanic, and I'm here for you no matter what questions you have or concerns. I've been there, and I know what you are probably going through, and I'm more than happy to assist you. And I'm not just talking about Hispanics. I'm talking about any immigrant, any mother breastfeeding, or just simply a friend, somebody to talk to.
Oh, that's so beautiful. So let's start at the beginning of your story. What made you get interesting in working let's tell people first, what is a CLC?
So a CLC is a certified lactation counselor. So it's a person that has education on and knowledge on what to do about breastfeeding. So questions, any concerns, any troubleshooting that you need, the person that's going to come and give you the right information. What I like about it is that we're very science-based. So all the time we have to be renewing our information and getting more knowledge so that we can give the most appropriate information to our clients. I am in my way to become an IBCLC, which is a board certified lactation consultant. And that is my dream. And pretty soon should be coming.
I want to really express to people, we do not have a lot of Black and brown IBCLCs. It is a lot of work, it's a large process, and it's a lot of commitment. And a lot of people just don't get the opportunity to be able to do that. So to be doing that work says a lot, especially in this community.
It is difficult. It's not only that, but it's just trying to catch up with everything, for minorities like us, everything is already one step lower, and you just have to work so much harder, sometimes even 2 to 3 times harder just to even achieve the same goals that, it gets handed over to other people. So,
Absolutely. This, unfortunately, like, it feels like that's the nature of the game as being America, being a minority in America, and so many people don't understand that
mhm.
we have to work 3 to 4 times harder than everybody else to just not even break even.
Not even, no, just to even just say hi, just to just
Right.
show yourself a little bit. Yeah, that is true.
It's a lot. So, what put you on this journey to want to be a CLC?
So it started off with me knowing that I was breastfed until I was 4 years old. So I knew that if I had children, I wanted to make sure I breastfed my kids. For me, there was no other option. There was no, in my mind, I never even thought about using formula or anything like that. Although I did end up using it, other reasons, but
Hmm.
I didn't think that that was going to be an option. So immediately when I had my children, I breastfed. Unfortunately, I was not legally ready to obtain a job when I had my two first children. So I was unable to pursue my dream then. I noticed it when I was in the hospital and I was struggling with breastfeeding, and I was just in tears and my nipples were bleeding. I was hurting. It was not fun. And I would not get any assistance but the girl next to me. And she was a white girl. She would get constantly somebody out there helping her. And no matter how many times I requested her, even if I told the lady, oh, I need some help, they would just like, we'll be right with you. We'll send somebody over. And it would just be like thrown to the side. So I was like, I want to be somebody that can help other people like this. I want to be at the hospital or somewhere where I can help people with breastfeeding. This is not okay. So I really got into it. And the more that I wanted to know, the more information I got. I started going to WIC, which they helped me with my breastfeeding journey. I wasn't able to do too much just because I wasn't supported at home with breastfeeding by my partner. So it was really hard. It almost had to be down low that I was breastfeeding. It was a cover up. Don't do that outside. It's just kind of weird and taboo. So I would just do my own thing. But eventually the desire of wanting to breastfeed just was like so natural. I had my second son, and again, I already knew to go get some help and things like that. And what really spiked up my interest in breastfeeding was my partner now that I have. He's very much enthusiastic and 100% there for me with breastfeeding. So I was able to explore more of what I wanted with breastfeeding. And I decided to get into the whole world. I went to WIC just as, going in there as a participant. And they told me, you would be so good as a peer counselor. And a peer counselor is a person that is person to person that will assist you with breastfeeding with some tips, some help, something basic. And
Hmm.
I was like, oh, that's my dream. And by now, I finally had my paperwork done, my green card, so I was able to work. And I was like, maybe I do want to try that out. And Lord and behold, I did it, and here I am. I love it so much.
I love that. You talked a lot about a lot of different things in your story, especially that when you
Yes,
said you had your first child, you were not legally documented. Do
that's
you
right.
feel that during that birth journey that played a part in the care that you received?
Oh, 100%. It's with everything. It's just 100%. I was very scared just because I didn't have the information about having like a doula or any of that because again, I was never given the information. I didn't even know that existed. And I was very much by myself and just with my partner at the hospital, and it was not easy at all. Getting any kind of help, I would have to almost beg for it, and immediately, even though I wanted to breastfeed, they're like, no, 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 just do formula. They didn't even give me a chance. And I was hurting, and the solution was just get formula. It's okay. You just need formula. So definitely got pushed to the side.
I, I,
I
I
know.
hate I hate that for you, and it's unfortunately so common in
Yeah.
the Black and Hispanic community. When anytime we're asking for help and we're requesting for something, you're usually pushed to the side. But I
Yeah.
can say, especially now, I see it. It's heavy in my community, but I see it more in your community, especially if it shows that you're undocumented. I noticed
Yes.
the whole shift in care and the reaction to the person completely changed.
And the thing is that at least I spoke English. Now, let's think about people that come here from different, parts of the world. Doesn't just have to be Hispanic, just anywhere. And
Hmm.
they don't know how to communicate. Like, I want to breastfeed, but how do they even say that? And they can't communicate. There's no one there. Or if there is, they have to wait long periods of hours for somebody to come and translate. Are they going to translate properly? Are they going to be assisting you properly? Is it a person with good intentions with breastfeeding, or are they more of like, I'm very busy right now and I gotta get up and go, here's some formula and that's all the help I can give you? So that is a lot more difficult for some other people out there.
It is. And you actually touched on something I want to run back to about if they're supportive. So, a lot of people think when you're having to call in these lines, or people aren't even aware of. So, if you're dealing with someone who speaks a different language, legally, you are supposed to call in an interpreter, not an
Yes.
interpreter of a family member, but an interpreter who is non biased to
Mm-hmm.
translate. The kicker
Exactly.
is a lot of times they are biased.
They are 100%. And not only do you get that, and they're probably like, oh, I have to call somebody. Now they have to get on the line, which I've had to do before. And it is tedious, but it needs to get done because
Hmm.
people out there need the assistance. But we're talking about, let's say, a hospital. People are running around, it's busy, you're having like so much workload, and they just sometimes push it to the side. Maybe the
Hmm.
next person in the shift can do it because right now I'm busy. So then what happens is that that person keeps getting delayed and delayed from getting that help. And those first hours, the first moments of having your baby is the most critical time to actually breastfeed and get your baby to your breast, to your chest, close to you. And it's so sad how much they get hindered. And aside from that, which I've had actually experience with a translator for a different language, was that the person was not properly translating what we were trying to say about breastfeeding. This was in my past job. We were talking about how the person was supposed to be breastfeeding and doing this, make sure that you're supply and demand, and the person didn't feel comfortable with the subject. And instead of doing their job and actually translating, they're like, oh, I don't feel comfortable saying this about this person. And I walked into this conversation. It was in English, and they were trying to get somebody in Spanish. I was the only Spanish speaking in the whole clinic, and I went in there to hear what was going on, and they were not translating properly. They were just like avoiding everything to do with the breast, with the nipple, with the latching, everything. And I was like, no, 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 let's just hang up. I got this, I'll translate. But things like this happen, and this is something that I understood. Imagine how many times and how many other languages this is happening, and we are unaware and unable to control. So it's so difficult even with the language line.
It's like, ugh, it's so disgusting and it's very
Yeah.
disturbing because we're in such life saving work, and people don't
Yeah.
understand that breastfeeding is not just to putting baby to breast. This is a social economic thing. What does
Yes.
it do for a family, and saves a family to have to not go through the pipeline of having to get formula and give all their information and do all these things if I can just bring baby to breast?
Exactly.
And also, can I afford formula? People
That's
don't.
what I was.
Formula is expensive, and people don't understand what that means, and also the cultural pieces of that. Some people really, we don't do formula like how I was raised. Me too. I fed my children, one for 2.5 years, one for 3.5. So I get it. Formula was never. My children couldn't take formula. They
Yeah.
were our bodies were not adjusted to it. They would get severely sick. So all I could do,
Hmm.
and my kids only breastfed. So there was no help. And I can say for myself, I didn't get good help. I had one person try, and how she was so rough with my baby. I just said, get out of my room. I'll figure it out, bleeding nipples and all. I'd rather do
Hmm.
this myself because you're harming my baby. They're fine. She's screaming. They scream. I said, no, because she didn't know at the time. My first baby, I was 19, 20. But I said, that's a high pitched pain scream. I'm not
Yeah.
stupid. You're hurting her. You took her by her neck. You lifted her up by her neck and threw her head this way. You
Yeah.
hurt my baby. And I'll do everything myself. And
Yeah.
when I've dealt with the Hispanic community, and we're in somewhere in public or something like that, and she doesn't speak any English and needs help, and for you to come up to the person like, it's okay. It's okay. Like, my English is not I mean, my Spanish is not the best, but I was raised around so many Hispanic people. You can talk to me in Spanish and I'll answer you in English.
I
So
love it.
I understand what you're saying. And that's what I'm like, it's okay, just talk. And they'll talk
Yeah.
like, okay, so let's do this. Do you want some help? And just being really like, it's okay. And then you'll just watch their face soften, but it's always that initial fear of,
Yes.
why do you want to help me? What are you going to do to me? And it's like, well, what
Are you
the
judging me? Are you coming like as a
no, no,
bad
no.
guy? Or are you coming in the good way? Yeah, that is 100% true. The same thing that happened to you happened to me too with my first baby. The lady, the nurse that was there, just didn't even ask me, grabbed me by my breast. You know, I have a booby right here.
Yes.
She grabbed me by my breast and grabbed my baby and just shoved it. And the same thing is like if you have a hamburger in front of you and
Mhm.
somebody comes and shoves it in your face, are you gonna really want to eat that? No, you're gonna
Right.
immediately reject it. It's like, why are you feeding me that way? It's something natural, something that wants to be like in sync, not something that has to be forceful and ugly in a way. No, it should not be that way. And unfortunately, they're not thinking about, has this person have sexual trauma? Has this
Uh-huh.
person, is this person okay with being touched? You always have to ask, is it okay for me to touch? Because without that permission, you're not giving that person that ability to have control over their body and over whatever's going to happen. What about if they can't communicate in English with them? Same thing. So it is crazy. This world out there is so crazy.
Yeah, we have to be like, consent is everything. And also we have to think about, this child just got on Earth, okay?
Yeah,
And this is their first moments of interacting with being Earthside. Do we want their first interaction with Earth to be trauma? Because
exactly.
that's trauma, because that is what you're imprinting on this child. Hey, I'm over here. Trauma is what's going to follow me. And so trauma with eating, people don't realize a lot of times babies are turned off from breastfeeding from that initial trauma that was put in.
Yes.
It's like, oh, you hurt me. I don't want to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I notice in our communities it's done intentionally, because I've watched lactation consultants in the hospital be very gentle with white women.
Right.
And then when it comes to us, they're very rough. And then they're like, okay, they can't do it. Here's the formula. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like, no, you're doing this on purpose. So we're gonna backtrack a lot. And I've noticed with this our communities, a lot of times when they want, I said, tell me when the lactation consultant is coming. They said around this time, I'm already there. We're already
Mm-hmm.
doing it. And they're like, oh well, I want to watch what you're doing. You can watch me do whatever you need to do. And if we have tips and things, I would talk to them directly. It's like, you tell me and I'll be happy to demonstrate and say, is it okay for me to touch and do it for them, so that
Yeah.
the lactation consultant isn't touching them.
Exactly. Yes. It's so important to have a good support system, especially like, for example, like I was saying, a doula or even somebody that you know that is a lactation consultant or anything like that, because a lot of hospitals, they have their own rules and their regulations on what they're going to help with and how much they're going to be helping with.
Mhm.
And I've been there. I've gone and helped out a friend at the hospital, and it was crazy because the whole time I'm telling her, okay, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do that. I asked her if I can touch, the whole 9 yards. Here comes the nurse. Oh, no, no, no. You're done breastfeeding. It's been already 2 minutes that you've been trying longer than what you should have. Your baby's going to starve to death. You have to stop. And then the baby was latching perfectly fine. I told her, I'm like, the baby was latching. So, yeah, but, I know because I'm the nurse. I'm like, okay, but also I'm a CLC. And then once I told her, then she just like, oh, okay. And just kind of like shut down and just watch what I was doing and then respect it a little bit more. But what if I'm not that? So I have no respect, and neither does that mom. That mom
Mhm.
is worth nothing. So it's so sad to see how diminished we are. These are our children. This is our rights. This is us that are getting the help at the hospital. Why can't we get the proper assistance? Why can't we get somebody that's actually going to be helping us and, actually leading us to have a good journey? Because it starts from there. It starts from the hospital beyond.
Absolutely. So,
So,
what I want to know from your perspective, what have you seen in the Hispanic community after so you've had this trauma or this experience in the hospital? Now it's time to go
yes.
home and they're looking and seeking help. Are you
Yes.
seeing in your community that they are seeking help? And if they're not seeking help, why are they not seeking help?
So this is where the tricky part comes. Legally and with immigration is very difficult. There is 3 ways that you can come here to United States legally. So A, through work. So if somebody sponsors you through work, B, through family, if a family member decides to bring you from another country. Again, if any of those happen, it's very tricky, because if somebody like family is bringing you over, like that's what happened to me, you have to be making the same amount of money that the person that's bringing you're going to be coming over. So if they're making, $70,000, whatever, then you have to be making the equivalent so that you're no longer a burden to those people. Not only that, but when you come here, you have to be with a sponsor that's going to be making enough money to support you as well. So then that person, that family has to have enough money to actually support you. So it's very tricky. There's a lot of rules and underlying things that don't really get spoken about. And then the next part would be, so it's work, it's family, and there is one more. Hold on, let me look it up real quick, just so that I could tell you exactly. The other one would be humanitarian. So, like, if you are, for example, coming in for asylum, that is the third option. So you only have three options. That's it. So you have to know exactly how you're going to be coming here and what path you're going to be taking, and make sure that you meet every single expectation required, or you're not coming over. You have to come here illegally. And now if you come illegally, it's such a little percentage that you'll ever get here, like that you'll become legal, just because you already breached the first three steps. You didn't do it the way that it was told. So now you're practically at zeros. So a lot of people have that in their mind. They come here and they have to follow all these rules. Rule number one, you never get any type of assistance at all. No food stamps, no free food, no nothing at all. You cannot get anything for free. You have to purchase everything. You have to pay your taxes. You have to pay everything in order to get anything. So no assistance, no Medicaid, no nothing. So people come here and they see, oh, free lactation help. So where I work, we provide free assistance with breastfeeding. People are so scared to seek that, because if they say, okay, it's free, but this is for American people, that's what they feel. If I do that, then I am already gonna like hinder my ability to become a citizen, or to get a green card, or to do whatever I need to do legally. So people, out of fear, will avoid getting any kind of help, just because they don't want to hinder their future. And this is so difficult to try to explain that, hey, there is a free help out there from nonprofits, but they don't understand all this, because they're coming to a whole different country with different expectations, and they think that everything is going to be tied in together, and everybody's going to ask for your social security, or for your insurance, or for your legal status. And it's not the case everywhere. There is people out there wanting to help, and there's things that are not tied in to the point that everything is going to get reported to, like, legal immigration services and stuff like that. So it's just hard for people to overcome that fear of actually obtaining help without thinking that their future is going to be hindered. No matter what path you bring yourself through, it's very difficult. So even getting WIC, I used to work for WIC, people would be so scared just to seek help, because they didn't know if down the line this was going to show up in their paperwork when they were going to go get a green card or a citizenship, saying, oh no, you seeked WIC right here. Thankfully, they don't tie in. So a lot of people don't know that, but a lot of people do stop themselves from getting help. And WIC is for children's family. They get free food, they get assistance with nutrition, they get basic needs to help them survive and keep pushing forward. So even that, they tried not to even get help from the even churches, free food. It's so hard for the community to just go and search for that, just because they don't want to be a liability in a way. So
oh, that is so hard and so heartbreaking, because the whole point of, like, when you're having free services and things, and I understand that I don't understand it in that capacity, but I do understand when you're going for free services, it is very intrusive. A lot of times they want to know everything about you. They need to know how much you make, where's your social, everything else. And I've never understood this. Like, if you're giving something from the heart, why do you need to know all this information? And that's just me being I don't want to, but to the idea of, like, you could ruin my life,
my future,
my whole future and my family's future, by just needing help. And everybody needs help at some point in time. I don't care what your social economics are. everyone needs some type of help. And especially now, times are hard. I don't care if you're making
Mm-hmm.
$50,000, $60,000 a year. Everybody needs to go through the pantry line from time to time, or just needing some assistance, because it sounds like it's like, okay, well, you're sort of somewhere else. If you need help, you just have to suffer.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
it's so difficult. It's so difficult seeing this. I was the one that spoke Spanish in different of our WIC locations when I used to work for WIC, and I was the one that would have to go to the front and translate. Not just myself, there was other ones, but I would go out there, and sometimes they would be so fearful to even mention, but I've been there and I felt that, and I have gone through the fears. Even trying to, like I said, even getting WIC, I was like so scared. I'm like, what if I get it? What if this is going to hinder my ability in the future to becoming a citizen? I am gratefully and happy to be a citizen after 24 years of waiting and paperwork and money and just filling in all the perfect steps of the way to finally get it. So I'm happy now I have it, but that doesn't mean that I don't have the trauma from 24, like from being here 24 years of, oh my gosh, there's a cop. Oh my gosh, there's this. I'm not doing anything wrong, but that fear isn't here. It's the same fear that you guys have as well. Like when you get pulled over, immediately you're a minority. You have to just be so submissive and so scared, excuse me. To have to deal with anything that's going to happen after that. You say the wrong word and you're going to have to pay for that. So the same thing. And it's so difficult to know that there's so many people still out there having to deal with this. And I know what they're feeling. I know what they're going through. So I understand, and I knew what words to say to them. Like, hey, it is okay. We're gonna ask you for this stuff, but it's okay if you don't have it. You could still get the services. And you could see immediately, like you were saying, their face just kind of like, ooh, relax. And then some of them would be like, are you sure? Are you sure? And I would tell them, I just got my green card. You're okay. I had the services too. And only because I have the ability to tell them I've been through it, that they felt relaxed enough to seek for that help. Now imagine any other help, and people that don't have anybody that speaks Spanish that can give them that reassurance. How many people are hindering themselves from getting any help? And that is the major obstacle that we have currently in our community. There's so much help out there, and it's free, and it's nothing to do with your legal status, but are you willing to risk it? Are you willing to put that on the line to try to get some momentarily help, and then maybe down the line you get separated from your children? You get stripped away from what was going to be your future. Your kids, if they were born here, they stay here. You go back. And you may never be able to come back. Imagine just having that in your brain, because that's what I had in my mind the whole entire time. My kids are all born here, and I'm from Colombia, and I was working on my green card first, and then my citizenship. I came here legally. I did everything the right way. But that process, you're in limbo. That process, at any moment, like Thanos, you could just go back, So it's scary. And I'm just glad I don't have to live that nightmare of thinking, what if I get separated from my kids? What if I go back to somewhere I don't know anything about anymore? I haven't been there in 24 years. I don't even know where to start. I don't even know where to go, nothing. I don't even know how like the money works over there. I know the language.
Right. And that's so terrifying. It's like you're being
Yes.
stripped in such a way. And it's like it took 24 years. And I think a lot of people don't realize, because you will hear, especially the rhetoric in Florida, I call it for what it is, that it's so easy. Just get your citizenship. It's not easy.
It's not easy.
My godparents are immigrants, and they came from Nigeria. And I remember being an adult by the time they finally got their citizenship, and they would have to go back and forth and everything else. Even adopting my sister, they adopted her when she was like 7 months. She didn't come to the States until she was like 5 or 6, because the process was so long and so tedious. And even then, how they spoke about it was very hush hush. They never wanted to say anything bad about America. They didn't want to, even certain conversations, to ask it, like, no, we can't.
Yeah, don't speak, don't tell no one, nothing.
And I'm like, but it's just a conversation. He's like, we are out in public. You don't live this life. You don't know. Someone could tap me on the shoulder and you'll never see me again.
Exactly. It's just, it's so crazy to think. And then now, okay, knowing that, and now let's say you end up getting married, right? Your spouse, they're legal or whatever, and then they hold that over you. Like, you love this person, but you get into any little fight. Oh, I could just send you back to your country, just like that. Holding that over you at any moment, just because they know my experience, my partner also went through that. He wasn't from here, he was from Thailand and all that good stuff, but that doesn't mean that he didn't, hold that over me ever. He definitely did. So when I went with my paperwork, I paid everything myself. I did everything myself so that I didn't owe anything to anyone. And when we're talking about this, like 24 years of waiting to get my citizenship, it's not because I just was sitting there waiting. It's because everything is a process. You get called in. Okay, so people that came here in 1998 and came here with a visa, family through blah, 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 at this year, meaning 2010, you're now eligible to start your case, and you only have that year or 2 years, and if you miss it, you now have to wait in a line again. So it's like this like long
Wow.
waiting line, waiting for this number to be called. And finally, when it gets called, you better have the money, you better have the lawyers, you better have all the information, everything you need to get it done. You have to learn English. Obviously, that's a given. You should learn English, but you have to learn English. You need to know how to read. You need to know how to write. You need to be able to have a conversation. Like, there is rules, and there is a lot to know. Even when I did my citizenship, I was studying like so hard. Like, a lot of my old coworkers know, because even on shelter duty, I was one of the shelter unit lead. I would be like studying and studying, and then we all started doing a game out of it. And I was asking them questions to see who knew the answers. And they're like, this is crazy. We don't even know the answers to all this. Like, this was back in school, like so long ago. I went to school here, and I know, like, I studied all this, but who remembers all that? Who remembers
Mm-hmm.
the year, the everything? It's just a lot of information. And I memorized it, I learned it, I complied with what I was asked to do. But what if it's a person that just came here, doesn't know the language? What if it's, there's just so much out there. It's just so much variance. And it's so hard to make the American dream come true. And, a lot of Hispanic people that I know, and, the community just calls it the golden cage. Because once you're here, you're
Whoa.
trapped in here. It's gold, it's beautiful, but you're also a prisoner in here. So it's deep, it's out there. And I've had, when I was young, I was like maybe like 12 or something. I lived in California, and there was always immigration, like coming and doing what we call redadas, which is when they come over randomly to like workplaces, and they will have like these white trucks. In Cali, they're white trucks, and then they open them up, and a bunch of cops come out, like wearing like full on suits, and then they just run in, take everybody that looks like an immigrant. They ask, do you have a green card? And if you don't have it, by the way, when you get a green card, you have to carry it with you, because if you don't carry it with you, you're nothing. Like, you have no proof, you have no way. We'll send you back to your country, you can show it to us later. Oh, but by the way, we might not let you back in. So it doesn't matter. You have to be carrying it with you, and you have to bring it and show it to them. And if that person didn't have it, they didn't care, and they would take them in the van. This was me, a little girl inside a car with my dad, and my dad's like, don't get out. Like, we're just going to watch. We were in the parking lot looking at this store, and we saw the people get out, and all of a sudden you could just hear people screaming, like almost like when there was like some kind of like murder, or like something crazy happened, and you hear a bunch of people just screaming and crying. That's what happened. And we're like, what just happened? So those vans left, and then once everything calmed down, people started to come out of their cars and look around, and we got out of the car and we went close, and there was babies, like I'm talking about like newborns and little kids inside vehicles with no parents. They took the parents and they just left the kids there. How many hours? When is somebody going to come and report that? When Who's going to come and take care of those kids? And now they're separated. Now those children are stuck here. The parents are sent back to wherever, or held for however long. Who's going to reunite them? How are they going to know all this? Like, there's children left in a vehicle. We know this is not okay. Like, how can you take the parents out and just leave those kids? Like, it's just, that was the first time I was like, this is crazy. Like, what are we doing here? And growing up, every single time anybody was driving, my friends all, had papers and everything. Everything was fine. And I was just like, oh my gosh, just look up there. Oh my gosh, there's this. coming here to Florida, now there's a whole new thing where they passed a law where there was going to be a lot more border patrol and a lot more patrol. So the Hispanic community knows this, and everybody is very close, like a family, and everybody tries to watch out for each other. And if they see this white van with green markings, that's something to be watchful. Don't go that way, avoid that road, avoid this. And now you don't see people riding on their bikes. You don't see people like trying to get work because they can't. They're going to be taken. It's just very difficult. It's not an easy thing to deal with. Lots of trauma.
That's so heavy. And that is a lot of trauma. We're at this moment, we're going to take our midpoint break to do our last spotlight, but we're going to come back to this. And thank you for being so transparent and sharing this really difficult subject.
Oh, my pleasure.
Yes, indeed. The last artist spotlight is our man Yamasani, and the name of the song is called The Culture. Let's check it out.
Okay, girl, get it together. I'ma stand by your side. If it's trouble, I'ma ride. Gotta do it for the culture. Unity should coincide. Gotta do it for the culture. I'ma stand by your side. Gotta do it for the culture.
Who's a Jew and who's not? That seems to be the new topic. But I'd rather talk about who profits from violence on them singles you copping. Man-made holidays commonly deceive you in shopping. We in such pain, we seek out naproxen. Try to switch to PEA and doctors treat it like it's treason to stop it. Big pharma feeling the karma. It's the season of logic and we waking up, clean the house, mentally steaming the carpet. This the reconstruction era, breathing the carcass. Read me the charges. Kyrie retweets an image and they're seizing his dollars. Stephen A says I'm loving this and he even hollers restrict or punishment. Oh, and Shaq, he's an accomplice, saying Kyrie should be suspended. Me being honest, media egregiously takes brothers, even hermanas, and pins them up against one another to feed the piranhas. I mean that Kyrie stormed the Capitol with thieves and Obamas. I'm watching all this happen at the crib in my pajamas like
I'ma stand by your side. If it's trouble, I'ma ride. Gotta do it for the culture. Unity should coincide. Gotta do it for the culture. I'ma stand by your side. Gotta do it for the culture.
Can I trouble you for a moment in time for us to huddle to? My people been through more ups and downs than the letter W. God, your people fell out of touch. We scared to summon you. We worship false idols that encourage us to be drug induced. The truth is hard to rebuttal, yay, so they muzzle you. Call you an unsolvable puzzle and they unpublish you. Try to make you earn approval with hurdles you jump into. But wait, make your decision like turtles, cause they can tug at you. But they know who you are, it's a power struggle and suppers do. Reclaim your seat at the table, pour you a cup or two. Take the largest portion of justice because they hunting you. Don't forget to finish that spinach dish in the supper stew. Leave the humble pie for the shot with the hitting colors too. Once you discover self with compass, you'll notice something new. They don't want you smarter cause all of it's meant to comfort you and keep you running in a virtual bubble that's puncture proof.
I'ma stand by your side. If it's trouble, I'ma ride. Gotta do it for the culture. Unity should coincide. Gotta do it for the culture. I'ma stand by your side. Gotta do it for the culture.
Dear LeBron, some say you the GOAT. I think that label's a joke for any human, cause every human's the greatest that's woke. So I'm confused by the words that you chose to use in your quote. You don't respect it, Brian, who you protecting? To not support the truth that your brother spoke is pathetic. I guess stealing people's identities copacetic. You act as if Kyrie is a random user on Reddit that posted a random documentary to say he said it. But when it contrary, he's been mostly prophetic. Especially with that jab that you took. Do you regret it? You know how many adverse reactions needed a medic? Your boy Kyrie's with the ancestors comedic. They burned our temples, took our Papria's paper to shred it. And you ain't say a word when they called him anti-Semitic. Brown with everything else, you're so versatile and eclectic. John Sally stood up for Kai, your boy Shay Shay ain't expected, but
I'ma stand by your side. If it's trouble, I'ma ride. Gotta do it for the culture. Unity should coincide. Gotta do it for the culture. I'ma stand by your side. Gotta do it for the culture.
And that was Yamasani featuring C. Rich in The Culture. And if you are an independent artist or a spoken word poet or up and coming comedian looking for some exposure, you can go to blastmusic247.com and register for free. But Blast is also looking for the fans. So if you're a fan of great music, you can also go to blastmusic247.com and register as a fan and have access to hundreds and hundreds of great independent music. Blast, we are constantly changing the industry one artist at a time. All right, ladies, back to y'all.
Thank you, Troy.
Thank you.
So I feel like that song was so fitting because I feel like as BIPOC birth workers, we really do this for the culture.
That's right.
Yeah, we do it for the things that are unspoken and spoken. And, you know, if you guys are just joining us, we have our lovely Miss Susan here, who is a CLC, lactation consultant, who is Hispanic, and talking about the journeys of the Hispanic community and the struggles that they're having to deal with, and even just seeking help and just living and just trying to get basic needs. So this is such a telling topic, and I'm so thankful that you're here to share about this, because I can tell you, most people don't know this or have ever seen this. I have never personally seen this, but I've only heard horror stories about this. And, you know, I remember seeing the vans, but not really understanding what they were. I was like, oh, that looks weird. Why is this over here? And I can say I work night shift, so I get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and there used to be always on MLK a group of Hispanic people. And you're like, okay, they're going to work. No big deal. Yep. And I noticed over the last couple of months, it's like, hey, I've noticed, where is everybody?
Yes. Everybody's just either not here anymore or got scattered trying to find a new way. You know, it's so difficult, you know, saying bye to your family member that day, like, all right, honey, hope you have some work today. You know, we need to bring food to the table, because again, they're not seeking it for free. They're paying, you know, taxes practically every time you go to Publix or any kind of grocery store. You're buying the item, there's tax on it, right? Mileage, any kind of, like, you know, anything, just anything, they're always contributing. And then you say bye to your husband or to your wife, whatever it is. Hopefully we'll see each other after this. Like, it's so scary. It's just, you never know what's going to happen after that. And it's difficult to know that we do this almost to ourselves to try to have a better life. But it's either we have a better life and we survive, or we don't. And it's just, this is the sacrifice that a lot of people have to take to offer their families the best opportunity they can, because in our countries, work is so limited. I have family members that are doctors they're amazing. They have so much in their background and they can't even find work. I'm talking about like doctors, surgeons, things like that, and they can't find work. So what does the person do? Try to seek help elsewhere, right? And come to a country where there is many more opportunities, but at a cost, you know? So it's very difficult. It's almost like being against a wall with a knife in front of you. So either you take a step forward or just stay impaled there forever. So it's really difficult.
In the medical community that I work in as a nurse, I have met doctors, surgeons who are Hispanic, who are working as CNAs or janitors.
Yeah.
How do I know this? Because we'll be doing clinicals, and I hear them talk and say, no, come here. What did you say? The doctor's doing it wrong. They're putting in the chest tube wrong. It needs to be more to the left-hand side, and this and this and that and the other. How do you know this? Oh, in my country, I was a doctor. And then they come here. I said, well, why not you try practicing here? I can't. I have to start all over again. I said, but so you walk around with all this knowledge in these spaces, and why do you choose to be a janitor in the hospital? He's like, because at least I can be close to what I love to do.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it was so heartbreaking, because on the flip of it, it's like you're watching people harm and do ugly and treat you awful when you have more knowledge in their pinky than they have in their whole career. That is something that is horrible. And I've also witnessed how hard it is, because I worked for a company that we had a Hispanic nurse who really was not strong in reading Spanish. And I was like, we were reading in English. I said, okay, well, let's just change the program over. And Carl's like, well, we don't have an option to change this over to Spanish. Yeah, we do. They never did it. And
They
it's like,
don't.
no, then change everything over into Spanish. Therefore, then all you have to do is hit a button and it transfers back to English. Never did it. The nurse lost her
No, they
job.
don't.
And the big part of it
Ugh.
was the back and forth translating, because what would happen, because, you know, I was trying to help her with it. It's like, okay, this is that. And she's like, oh, I have to transcribe my notes. Then she would have to do it in her Google voice, then to transfer it over to write it in English. But a lot of times it wasn't transferring correctly. I said, that's not what that says. That's not how that goes. No, you can't write it that way, because a lot of times how things are pronounced in Spanish is backwards in English.
Yes, it's written all backwards, everything.
Everything backwards. So reading her notes is like, I know what you're saying. They're going to tell you all of these are wrong. Yeah. Everything you've written, you have to flip every single thing you've just done. So now notes that take you 15, 20 minutes are taking her 2 hours to get done. Or sometimes the next day because you're so tired, and then it's all wrong. So it's a lot.
It's difficult. It's very difficult. You know, that's so true right there. That is so true. When I was taking my CLC to get my certification for the counselor position that I have, I had to go through this with the tests. The tests, I knew the things, okay? I studied so hard and I stayed up. It was 3 a.m. and I still would be on my computer like studying. So I knew the things. Not everything, but I knew. And when I took the test the first time, I took it one time and I failed it. And it was because they had so many tricky questions. How do you translate tricky questions?
Right.
How do you translate that? You can't translate that. And in my brain, I think in Spanish, I count in Spanish. Everything's in Spanish. So I flip it to English, and then sometimes it doesn't come out right. Sometimes it comes out with an accent. You know, it is what it is. But how do you translate? Like they're like, oh, you can use a dictionary. But I'm not going to translate a tricky question. Like, where is that? I even had a whole note that I wrote to them saying, why don't you guys provide this in Spanish? Why is it that I have to only take it in English? If it's going to be tricky questions, give me the test in Spanish, because I got you. But if you're just going to give me a test normal, like no tricky questions, I got you. I can answer you what you need to hear, whatever it is. So the next test that I took, it was like no tricky questions. It was very basic, very normal. Not that they fixed it, they just randomized it. But thankfully, this one, I don't know, by the grace of God or something, it wasn't that. It was perfect. It was easy. Passed it. Flying colors. But it can hinder somebody's future just by even having that accommodation of that person, like whatever. And that's only Spanish. What about somebody that doesn't speak Spanish? Somebody that's from like China or something. I don't know.
It all makes a difference. We only have to like, unless you speak Spanish, you speak Spanish or Creole in this area, you're pretty much out of luck. You might get lucky if you can find someone who's Russian who can translate for you. But anything else,
it's difficult.
It's very difficult.
So hard.
And it's hard.
I had a client that would only speak Portuguese. Thankfully, Spanish and Portuguese, they're very easy. So I would speak Spanish to her. She would speak Portuguese to me. We understood each other. And, you know, we would have the language line too to help us out. But she didn't feel comfortable with that. She wanted more one-on-one. But we would have our conversations. So we'd be talking and understand each other, teach each other some stuff. And it was nice. But again, how many people are you going to find out there that are going to take their time to make that effort, to make that conversation, to take their time to know you, to see your issues and understand it? Because when you go to a doctor's office, 5 minutes, that's all you got. You better write that down, whatever you need, because if you didn't say it immediately, bye. Okay, see you next time in a month or two. By then, their breastfeeding journey is over. Whatever help they needed is done. Like, these people are left with that issue. The doctor or whoever it is just moves on to the next client. Absolutely. It's a lot.
So what advice would you give to people who want to assist? They want to make sure that their spaces are deemed safe. What are things that what should we be doing to help with that?
So one big thing is, like I said, the Hispanic community, at least, we're all like a family. We're very much close to each other, and we all communicate with each other one way or another. So the main thing is becoming part of the community. If you're not known, if you are not making your way to meet people, to get to know the community, no one will open their door. You have to be trusted. You have to be somebody that I've seen you multiple times here and there. I know who you are. I know what you do. Now you're my person. I can send you people because I know what you do and I know who you are. I can trust that. Because it's all about trust. Because if you don't have that trust, you are just an outsider that is probably going to come and harm me. But if you have my trust and you show yourself wherever there's community events, wherever there is things that are actually helping the Hispanic community, people will trust you and will open up their door to get to know what services you have to provide or what help you have to provide that will actually help me and not hinder me down the line.
I think that's really important and pertinent. Showing up, be present. And, I think about language sometimes. So like if we're offering service, no documentation needed. I think that's really important. It's like, come as you are, no documentation needed. We just want to see and want to help. It's sometimes people get stuck on this language barrier. I've helped a lot of Hispanic families and do things. I don't speak proper Spanish. It's not happening. It didn't happen, but it doesn't make the love and the care not there. You can have a whole conversation on a whole lot of things without speaking two different languages because people feel and see love. That's at the end of the day. If they know that
100%.
If they know that you love them and that you're a care and you're invested in them, they will, and that you take your time and speak. For the record, please don't yell at people. I don't know why English-speaking people think that if you yell at a Hispanic person, they're going to understand you better. They're not. They're like,
you do this.
Immigrant, do you understand? No, you idiot. Don't talk to people like that. But just to be like, because hands and gestures, come on in. Sit down. Offer water. Do you want this? Do you have that? And to be just open.
Yes.
Just open to show. And then also to connect with other people in the Hispanic community. You don't have to do it all. Make sure that you have someone or several people that you can say, hey, I have this mom, this family, they're very sweet. They need some help. I need some help translating. I know you're probably busy. Can you help me right now?
Yes.
And then they to be trusted, non-biased people to be like, hey, this is on breastfeeding or lactation, or hey, she's really sick and I feel her and I've done, it's helpful to be a nurse. I can take your temperature and do blood pressure. Like I'm not doing doula work right now, I'm doing nurse work, and I can see, hey, there's a problem here. I do have a Hispanic herbalist I can call on. I'm like, I need help. This family needs help. They speak no English and I need you to help them. And then to be able to connect people into it. We can't do it all. And we need to support more people like you who are coming over here for this American dream,
That's right.
I find it interesting sometimes because of being immigrants who are wanting to be here and coming from a culture of people who were brought here against their will. And now we're here. And it's just like, some of us are fighting to get out and wanting to leave, but other parts are like, we are stuck here. So, we just connect with who we connect with. And, I can say, unfortunately, in the Black community, I feel like there's a lot more brokenness and we don't have that same trust connection, but that has a lot to do with enslavement and that was put into us to not be able to trust. But I can see in communities when, you see a child on the street, someone's going to feed you, someone's going to help you. And that we need to remember to extend our arms out to our brown population, our Hispanic population. Like, we know what you've been through. We know what you're going through. We've been through it. It's just love. It's like, we've been through it. We with you. Like, and just know we got to hold each other accountable and just to be able to help. And even people who are even more important, I want to speak to our non-melanated people, that this is your community. You're white English speaking, and the world, you have privilege. Use your privilege to help out. You see you're a white IBCLC and there's someone who's Hispanic or Black or brown or an immigrant who wants to be able to reach this. Help. That is how you can help. Use your privilege to help. Allow them the opportunity to do great things. You cannot come into all these communities and do this. Same with different populations. The Muslim community, I've trained a lot of different doulas in that population. Do I try to go in that population? No. I'm here to support the people who want that. if you want me there, I am definitely happy to be there and to show up and to present and to help you through that. But it's for me to help someone else in that community to stand with their own community. I'm just here that I may have this, but I can help you with this. That's
Yes. I love it. You're awesome.
You're awesome. Like it's a team effort. There's no just one-sided stuff with this stuff, and it's hard. And
It is hard.
it's hard. Like, and thank you for sharing your story.
Yeah.
And because that's not easy to put out here, to share your story, to share your triumphs, but also the fears that come with that, and that you can know that people can reach out to you. So I want to tap onto it that I know, and how I met you is that you work for a group of people that actually it's called the Baby Cafe, that actually helps with free lactation consulting, completely free. And can you give us a little bit about what that is, where you're located, the days you're there, and then how can people find you?
Of course. So they were definitely in all Tampa area, like Hillsboro. We have a lot of baby cafes out there, and it's amazing. It's just women wanting to help, with breastfeeding. They're IBCLCs. I'm actually the only CLC that they have there because I'm on my way to become an IBCLC. But Champions for Children is a nonprofit. They're funded by JBW and also Baycare. So they are funded by them. It's free. No need for insurance. There's no scale of income, nothing at all. It's asked for. And we provide free lactation services as a drop-in group. So if you have an issue, you just do a QR code, you scan yourself in. They do ask a couple questions, but it's nothing, you don't have to put any specific information. You could even leave it blank if you want. And we can help you fill it out as well in there. And you can come into any of our locations, just drop in, and it's free. It's one-on-one. We call it a baby cafe because it's a room and we all meet up, and there's going to be multiple mamas, sometimes not. And we'll be one-on-one. We'll still ask you what's going on, help you out. I have a question about my breast is hurting, or simply, is my baby gaining enough? I don't know if my baby's even getting enough. We have solutions for that, and we're able to weigh our babies and make sure the baby's transferring enough. Any questions that the doctors may have, we can help with that. And I speak Spanish, and I'm in the locations of all Pinellas. We do have Spanish speakers also. One speaks Portuguese and some Spanish in our Hillsboro area. And then we have, obviously, my boss, Regina. She definitely speaks Spanish as well. And another one of our girls to speak Spanish. So you have the Spanish help both counties, both Hillsboro and in Pinellas. And in Pinellas, we have 3 locations. We have one in Tarpon Springs. We have one in Mid-County, which is like Largo, Clearwater. And then we have one in St. Pete. I will send you all those so that you can actually put the actual address and all the locations and the QR code. So that if they want to, they can come on over and we can assist you. And again, it's free. So all you got to do is just take the first step. And if you like it, you can come back. And if not, then at least you tried it out and, you got to have a good feel for it.
So the one that I know about is the one on Southside St. Pete at Sanderlin Center. And Sanderlin Center is actually somewhere that I have worked out of and had my own clinics, drop-in clinics out of myself. And you guys are on Wednesdays, correct?
Correct. So Wednesdays and Fridays. So Wednesday's going to be Sanderlin and the High Point. It was the old YMCA, but now it's a youth center. And then on Fridays, we have our location on Fridays on Tarpon Springs. So it's a center, and we also go in there. It's amazing. I love it.
Yeah, it's definitely important, and it's really want to push that out for Southside and Clearwater, because there is a large Hispanic community in both spaces, and just to know that they're safe places, and that we all connect with each other and say, hey, are you aware this is here? And so that you guys can go and get this help and know that it's out here. So I'm super excited. And Susan, thank you so much for coming on today and sharing your story, sharing your resources, and giving our guests and our audience a different perspective of things that they may have never had to think about, and make sure that sometimes you're coming out of your own box of life and understand, you look at what your neighbor could be going through. Be aware, be observant. If you have great Spanish speaking neighbors and you guys get along and everything is doing well, keep an eye out. Notice if
That's
they get
great.
tense when they see certain things. Notice some things and be an ally, be an advocate. It makes a lot of difference to go to your neighbor and say, hey, you guys should probably stay home today.
That's right. That's right.
And tell them
Community.
why. And
Yes,
you don't know whose life you're saving and whose life you're changing.
exactly.
So we're coming to the end. I am so glad you're here. And I see that Susan, we're going to share this right now. This is the Baby Cafe. This is for their website.
Yes, that's the link.
Okay.
And then you can go on there. We also have other services free for children, developmental. Like they will teach the parents how to play with their kids. They do home visits. They do free diapers, free stuff. It's just so much in there, and even like dad groups. So there's a lot in there. Just go ahead and visit and see what fits your needs. And this is in Florida again.
I love it. And then Susan, if people want to reach you and have get lactation consulting from you, is there a way that people can reach you directly?
Yes, I have my information. I can post it here, or
Yeah, go
how do
ahead
you-
so we can go ahead and
Alright.
share it, because we want people to, because sometimes it even when you have free services and things like that, it's different to be able to meet to someone one-on-one and make sure they feel comfortable and safe first, and then
Yes.
go and get the services. I know with me as working as a birth worker, a lot of times people are like, Courtney, I'm scared, I ain't going there. But if you meet with me and you talk
Yes.
to me first and you tell me it's safe, then I may try it, because sometimes hand holding is needed to be able to no, we're going to walk into this building in this space together. I got you. Okay.
Yeah, that's my phone number. You can reach me directly to my phone. I got you. And we can meet up. You can ask me any questions. Even if you are trying to provide services and you want to know how to reach the Hispanic community a little bit better, call me or text me. I'll be more than happy to help you out.
All right. So I love that you are sharing your information. Oh, you bold, child. You put your whole phone number up there. I love it.
Surprises.
I know, call it for business issues only. Okay, don't be calling because you think she cute. She not up for that. This is a phone call for help. So I thank you so much for being here. And again, to my audience, thank you. You are loved. You are seen. You are important, and you matter. So thank you. And until the next time, thank you so much for sharing space. You are always welcome, according to Courtney. And everybody, have a great day and enjoy your weekend.
Bye.
Bye, you guys.